Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting Whilst Painting. It's where I talk about random topics while I do terrible artwork and swear profusely. So, there is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I do swear a lot, obviously. So if you don't want to hear any of that, and I'm assuming I'm reaching somewhat of an audience that is an adult audience, I would suggest changing it, because if there's any kids listening, you really shouldn't be listening, because this is adult stuff and you're really not old enough to listen to it. So speaking as a teacher and someone who could be mum age, turn it off. Be responsible, come on. Any parents that are letting their kids listen to this, what's wrong with you? One more thing to actually add to the part today. I don't know how I'm going to go for talking today, because I recently, last night, got a text saying my dad's in hospital getting bowel cancer emergency treatment. So if I go a bit funny today, I am sorry. To be honest, I'm still reeling from the fact that my mum got diagnosed with Parkinson's midway through last year, and it's just been a weird fucking roller coaster of a ride so far. I mean, I don't think we've recovered since Harambe, to be honest, any of us are millennials. So it's a question of what next and what can I do to adjust to get going with it and keep going. So, so if my phone does go off during this, I am sorry. I am going to have to either answer it or check my texts, because I said keep me on call, keep me updated, see what's going. So we don't even know what's going on there yet. All we know is that he went into hospital last night for emergency treatment. And he might get transferred to a different hospital. We don't know, for further treatment or whatever it is. I don't know. So I'm still up in the air about that, and it's just been... I'm not going there right now. So I will try and keep up morale, and we'll keep rolling. The topic for... My apologies if I go nuts. The topic for today is... backstabbing. It's a bit of an immature topic. Something that you usually associate with tweens or teenagers or something like that. Bitchy children still in high school trying to, impress their friends by being dicks to everyone else. It's usually associated with women, actually. Well, girls, teenage girls. So it's surprising when you find a guy that does it. Although that could just be an engendered response. It's not sex or gender related, to be honest. Everybody fucking does it. What it is an extreme form of gossip, which is also mixed in with bullying. Sorry, my head's just not right today. I don't understand why people do it, honestly, because it's also a case of, honestly, it's, the best thing I saw was like a meme the other day where it's girls picking who they want to be friends with, and you'll find, on the one side there's this really nice, happy, bubbly girl, and the girl who's choosing will go, nah, and then she'll go look at the girl who's being a bitch and nasty and gossiping about other people's languages, and she'll go, yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen that meme. And I'm sitting there going, it could be pretty accurate for some. It's horrible because it's not long-standing or wholesome arrangement to pick friends that are like that. So, I personally wouldn't choose people like that, because I know at some point it's going to get turned on me. I absolutely expect it, to be honest, which is why I don't bother hanging around with anyone who's like that. What colours have I got there? It's still wet. But, it's, a lot of people do it, and it stems from insecurity, I find. People are insecure in their own abilities or what they perceive themselves to be, and so they want to bring down or drag down someone else behind them or around them. They get some sense of power or ego boost from being able to shit on someone who's maybe different or better than them, or, and it gives them a sense of having one over on them. A lot of people, for example, also who tell the truth about someone get called crazy or a bitch and are perceived to be backstabbing someone, when realistically maybe they've had a bad experience with someone and they're just explaining what happened. That's one of the dangers as well. People don't know whose story is valid unless you've actually been there and experienced it firsthand. Of course, the fun part is finding out when that person is right about that particular person, but only through experience of that person, you know, interacting with others and having their behaviors observed. So if you're going on gossip that a person is a particular way, maybe what's the popular ones? Oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's paranoid. She's catastrophizing. She's the bitch. Consider actually getting to know that person before actually making those assumptions and just going on, you know, believing whatever the bandwagon is at the time, because always there's a motive behind these statements. Someone who's saying it obviously has a motive. Now, the motive could be warning the others, if it's true, or trying to undermine that person if it's false. They could be trying to set themselves, for example, in a social group, to validate their belonging to the group by claiming allegiance through replicating tasks such as backstabbing, which would form some kind of cohesion through, you know, like assuming they belong because they're like us and they talk like us and they shit on that one person just like us. You know, it's bullshit. If you dump on the same person, then maybe you've got stuff in common. It's a ridiculous way to live, because at some point they will turn on you too. You're assuming this kind of person, or you assume that you're immune to this kind of shit, as long as you belong to the group. And the only way maybe that you're not going to get dumped on yourself is if you don't challenge the status quo. Anyone who stands up for someone who's getting shut on will probably get shut on in turn, if you think about it. If they're not with us, they're against us, which is utter bullshit, because you can completely be a pragmatist and not get involved at all. It's a very black-white mentality. If you're not with us, you're fighting against us. It's like, well, actually, no, I think you're both fucking idiots and I'm bouncing. So, you know, I claim Switzerland status. Fuck this. I'm out. Sick of your maturity. But people don't see that grey area, that in between where, you know, someone can stand up and say, well, none of you are right and I'm out. They like to have that belonging to a group because it gives them a sense of identity and maybe even value. If they dump on the same person, it's perceived to give them better value in the group, higher ranking. And I find most of the time people who backstab others behind their back are looking for some kind of external validation from those in their group so they can climb up the ranks and control the group in itself. If you want to go into Durkheim's othering, people will lead others with false information and creating these false narratives where this other person who doesn't quite fit with our ideals is completely evil, because it suits their purpose of controlling the members in the group. As I said in the previous podcast, it's like if you can identify an already slightly prominent enemy to a bunch of people who want to belong, and give them some kind of, you know, like motive, like, oh, this person's created all your problems, they're taking all your money, they're doing all this, then you can pretty much get a whole group to just turn on someone because you're targeting them. Scapegoating, it's called. You could say this person is the reason why you go, oh, like what they're saying with like employment. One common argument is that immigrants are taking people's jobs. Oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. If that was a problem, why don't we just create more jobs? Can't create more jobs because then you would actually have to pay the workers more. And, you know, things like skill sets would be valued instead of quantity of people and workers. If you create more jobs, that means cheaper wages. Actually, is that how it works? I'm trying to think. You'd have to pay them more, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe you would have to pay them more because you want better quality workers or something like that. If you make less jobs and have them fighting for the jobs over each other, they'll create enemies and destroy themselves, essentially, is what I'm getting at. You know, like, it's stupid. I mean, that's why You think about it like when they used to have the Industrial Revolution, you would have the established workers, say if you're working in London, for example. The workers were pissed off with the working conditions. They held a strike or a series of strikes and formed unions. And then the business owners said, well, we're not going to give you better working conditions. We're not going to pay you more. What we will do is get cheap labor, which doesn't mind being used that way. Or with a lower exchange rate, you know, like people from different countries who will take $5 in American and change it over to some ridiculously high amount in some other currency. They'll get those workers, which are in Marxist sense a proletariat country, because their exchange rate makes them more susceptible to exploitation by corporate entities. Which is why you get so many people trying to get to places like London, because the exchange rate is seemingly better than the other places. Or the euro, which is even better than the British pound at this point. You find a lot of immigrants aiming for European countries which operate so they can earn the euro, which might seem like next to nothing in euro terms, but when you send it back to your original country you came from, the exchange rate makes it a ton of money. But it will, they pair them against each other. So when the workers who are already established there get pissy and say, well, I'm not working for you, they can send in the cheap labor to take the positions because they're happy to work as long as they get paid, seemingly, until they realize what kind of conditions they're working under. And, the business owners themselves can say, it's not us, it's them, it's the cheap labor, you need to blame them, and then it causes fights among what we deem the proletariat, if you want to go into Marxist terms. And that's how they condition supply and demand of labor and workplace positions in order to keep a vague sense of control over the people. It's like, if you want the job, you have to do what we say and how we work and how we tell you to do your job. And I don't care about unions and stuff and shit wages. Do what we say, otherwise don't have a job. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but it's the othering. It's not us, the business owner, it's the other workers that are willing to do it for less that are the real problem here, and that's how you get problems with people being pissed off about migrants turning up. They're taking our jobs. It's like, they're not taking our jobs. They're utilizing resources that are beneficial to them, yes, but you would as well. What you need to do is start fighting for better working conditions. And stop letting business owners fuck you in the ass for cheaper pay. But it's that lack mentality as well, that they're afraid to lose their job, so they'll settle for damn near any treatment, especially in the cost of living crisis, instead of asking what is essentially bourgeoisie, those who own the means of operation, for better pay or stuff like that. It's easier to blame immigrants than it is to acknowledge that the business owners are reaping vast dividends for their stockholders, instead of paying their workers and improving living conditions. Your loyalty to the company doesn't necessarily get mimicked back in the company's loyalty to you. They see you turning up as them doing a favor for you. When in reality, if you didn't turn up to work, the business would collapse most likely unless they could get cheap labor. Which really just makes them sort of like evil genius shit going on. If you think about it, it's like, because the cheap labor borders on slavery in some parts, where they get them doing really dangerous work in some circumstances for very little pay, but the workers who are usually either very needy or immigrants are willing to take on, and it's just inhumane for both sides of the coin, both the established workers and the immigrant workers. So in any case, they want to create a target to manipulate the people into fighting amongst themselves rather than actually establishing healthy, clean, safe working environments with decent pay. In a simplified sense. So, that can be done the same way in... And that's done through backstabbing, propaganda, and misinformation amongst the people as well. And people do it in social groups. If you got, like the Mean Girls movie, you've got three mean girls, main mean girls, and then another one they tried to introduce who was not as mean, who didn't understand what was going on, possibly autistic considering her math skills. And that's a compliment, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But they would bolster their social persona and the illusion of what they were by being nice up front, but realistically backstabbing everyone in a burn book behind their back. And that was the whole premise of the movie, is to understand and to highlight how much backstabbing and nastiness occurs in some social circles in order to promote position as the queen bee or the queen bitch of the school or the social group. And that's replicated in real life as well. That's not life imitating. Actually, it could be life imitating art or art imitating life. It could go either way. Considering how much mass media has shifted and shaped how we act towards each other. If we normalize it in mass media, potentially it could replicate in real life. Although if we find it in real life, maybe that's just reflective in our mass media. Who knows? Symbiotic relationship, possibly. We need to be mindful about part in that, and ultimately we need to be understanding that what our actions do have an impact. That's hard. Have an impact on those around us and stop being, pieces of shit. I've never encouraged backstabbing. When I talk about anything, and I'm not just being, virtue signaling here, I'm not just saying I'm fucking perfect, because I do get pissed off and I rant about people and vent as well. When I'm highlighting things that have happened in my previous relationships, for example, it's because I am observing and saying what I saw. It's not a case of I'm trying to villainize this person. If they come across as the villains because they've done these things, and you yourself, with your own, partial judgment, has decided that person's a prick. It's like, how could you? If you were fine with, say, someone cheating, you would say, oh, the person who's talking about it is complaining too much and, she's coming across as a bitch. It depends on your own perspective and, the social construct you found yourself, which is your version of reality. It's weird. If you're fine with the lifestyle choices of someone having an open relationship, you might find that I might be more bigoted because I'm not fine with open relationships. I find them to be emotionally hurtful and exploitative most times. Other people would be fine with it. You would see me as the asshole. Maybe you would view me as overly conservative, or if you're going into political terms, you say what has my ex-boyfriend said? You're not liberal enough. Because I don't condone him fucking around behind my back. You're not liberal enough. No, I just don't like having my feelings hurt and being used. I don't think that's got anything to do with my political ideologies. I think you're just a piece of shit. But, one man's hero is another's, villain. So it's down to our own perspectives. What you need to do is triangulate data and make sure that you are finding out as close to the realest sense of what you can, what the real version of it, if there is a real version of it, what the most accurate version of it is. Because people ostracize each other and other each other in order to perform so many acts, including creating a common enemy for people to fight against. When in reality, this person might not be the common enemy. It's just a perceived enemy which they used as a tool or a device to create tension and fear and anger and set people up against each other. Critical thinking and thinking yourself, given the evidence and the experiences you've had with that person, often clarify the situation when you find out, hey, maybe they're not as much an asshole as I thought they were. But this person, who obviously is jealous or insecure about this person, has posed them as this particular person in order to kick them out of the group or to put them on a place in the rung, in the hierarchy where they're not as valued or some people just want to use each other as like a emotional kick bag, Like, I'm having a bad day. I'm going to keep you around. I'm not going to tell you to fuck off from the group, and I'm going to keep you around so I can slag you off to your face, and you'll take it because you're a doormat. That kind of thing. Those people need to be avoided. They are abusive. Like, I don't know what mental issues you've got. Clearly based on insecurity or jealousy or something. Where you need to use people to make yourself feel better. it's just odd. I mean, if you're counting these as your friends, they are not your friends. They are assholes. I don't know. People are odd. See, this is why I have trouble with social cues. It's like I'm seeing the actions of people and trying to understand why they're trying to present a different story from what the actions are being evident of. And you've got a bunch of mean girls who are being plastic, who are pretending to be nice to your face. They'll say, what a nice skirt you've got on. Oh, I love your... whatever it is. Some token gesture, which is usually empty and not meant anyway. And then behind your back, they'll say, oh my god, it's the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen. You know, and it exists. And it's not just females, it's not just women, it's men as well. They might say, yeah, this guy's my bro, he's awesome. And then behind his back, he'll say, oh, he's you know, he's gay and he's poly and he's cheating on everyone and his life's a mess. But, you know, in comparison, I'm the better one, so you should probably be with me. It's the dragging people down to make yourself look better. It's manipulative, it's horrible. It's not needed, because if you're actually working on yourself in your own right, and you're showing evidence of your own self-development, you shouldn't have to slag other people off to make yourself look better. You should just be, and people can see the evidence for themselves. Which is why other people tend to get jealous as well. If you are doing well at school, or in the workplace, or in a relationship, they will see that you're doing well, and they become jealous, and they start slagging you off, trying to break up your relationship, or get you fired, or, you know, get you to quit school because it's not cool to do school. Come drinking with us instead, you know, kind of thing. And they'll see that you're potentially trying to do better than them, putting in the effort in, or you're happy, and they'll just slag you off because it makes them feel better to drag you down to their level where they're not achieving, not doing anything with their life. And they don't have to think or do anything except slag you off, and your self-esteem drops, and you start copying and mimicking what they do because you want to belong and you want to have friends. And it's crazy. Crabs in a bucket. I'm not going to achieve because I can't be fucked, so I'm going to drag you down to make sure you don't achieve more than me. And if my achievements are mediocre, I haven't bothered to stay in school to get a decent job, if I haven't bothered to put in time to make and work within a committed relationship that I actually value with someone, I'm going to make sure you don't have it either. I'm going to break up you and your boyfriend. I'm going to break up your ability to concentrate at school by getting you shit-faced and making you go to class with hangovers. It's the slagging off, the backstabbing, the nastiness that comes with intensely insecure people that have no real control over their life because they don't want to have control over their life, yet they'll try and drag someone else down to their level to fuck them around so they fuck up their life. Whilst I do say it's dangerous to stick your head above the trenches, I still think it is safer. You should still go for what you want, but do it in a way that doesn't make it incredibly obvious to other people who could potentially be competition. Not all your friends are going to be competing. Some of them, most of them, if any of it, all of them should be proud of you and trying to help you along with your achievements as you would for them. But there's bound to be some asshole in the background jealous of your achievements who is, you know, more than willing to slag you off behind your back or even to your face in order to break your self-esteem and focus and to get you working at their level. Maybe they've not got a good job. Maybe they're struggling financially and they don't want to see anyone with, you know, better objects or a safer, more stable lifestyle than them because it makes them feel insecure that they haven't achieved enough. Maybe they decided to fuck around in high school instead of actually concentrating and so never made it to uni or college. And they thought that was the right thing. And rather than actually face the reality that their decision was shit, they end up dragging their friends down and stopping them from achieving any kind of higher learning and doing anything with their life because, you know, I can't be wrong in my lifestyle choices of fucking around and drinking, doing weed while I was in high school. I can't be wrong. I'm going to make sure that I'm right by sacrificing your fuckers' futures to validate my own shit decisions in life. And it's a poverty mindset as well. It comes through It's paired also with not believing possibly that you deserve a better lifestyle. That could be low self-esteem. So if you're not willing to stand up for yourself against people who are dragging you down or slagging off your friends, or, you know, chances are that you're not going to stick up for yourself as well. You're not going to want to reach for something else because you don't feel that you're worth it, which is horrible, man. Because if you're willing to put in the work, then fuck it, you must be worth it. Only if you don't put in the work, it kind of tells the universe, you know, it's not trying. I'm not gonna help. If you're not gonna help, we have to help together to get this done. So, you know, be wary of people that are backstabbing little pieces of shit, because they will go out of their way. Whether it's obvious or conniving, they will go out of their way to make sure that you do not achieve. Maybe they're going to cheat on you with their ex or something while you're at work, or some one-night stand they had who's just conveniently located at the pub they go to. So they go back to it when they're bored and you're at work actually earning money for both of you. I don't know, there's always some circumstance, but these fuckers will find a way to enable it. So you've got to be wary of it. And of course, this person who knows that you're, you know, with someone but doesn't like you and might be jealous is more than willing to play the part of the villain to ensure that they've got one over on you. They didn't like you in the first place, and you might as well fuck this other person over. Because they're an asshole, or at least a perceived asshole. You know what I don't understand though is, like, you could have someone not like you. So, like, say, fuckboys, for example. I'm writing a book on fuckboys right now. To be honest, that's one of the things I'm currently typing it up. I've written it, I'm just typing it up. It's about fuckboys. One of the things I noticed about them is that if they don't get their way in a relationship about something they feel very passionately about, that is their right to do, say, cheating, they will slag off the person they're with behind their back, and they will present this person as the villain because it doesn't coincide with what they actually want. They won't get rid of the person because they like the shit on tap. Maybe it's sex, maybe it's money, maybe it's booze, maybe it's attention. They like having the backup of someone to come to my rescue when I want them. What they will do, though, is they will slag this person off to their friends. They'll say they're crazy, they're nasty, they're controlling, they will take time off your hands. And basically all you want is just like a stable relationship with this fucking person because you're meant to be my boyfriend. Why are you not acting like my boyfriend? And it's, you know, in part it's like reactive abuse. That's the backstabbing part. It's like where you've driven someone, you've egged them on, you pissed them off, you treated them like shit, and then egged, and prodded until suddenly they react. And the reactive abuse is what the friends will see. And the person who is the fuckboy will then turn on you and say to their friends, this person did this because they're crazy and unstable. And you're sitting there and thinking, you didn't see the build-up of the shit this other person had to tolerate until you got to the focus point of reacting. What they honestly want is this person that they're with to tolerate their shit and mistreatment and abuse, and just go with it and stop asking questions and tread on eggshells and just go with the plan, when ultimately what this person who's being abused needs to do is turn around and say, fuck you, I'm leaving. And then of course they'll play the victim afterwards. It's like, I'm the victim, he left me, I was abandoned, and they took everything. And I'm sitting there thinking, it was deserved. You did your utmost, you know? It's like, it's crazy. How suddenly the abuser becomes the victim when, you know, what they want is removed. Crazy. It's immature, to be honest. You finally save yourself from their abuse, and suddenly they're the victim because you left. And you're going, fuck off. Fucking fuckboy. You haven't got the maturity levels of a 3-year-old. You know, your toy gets taken off you, have a tantrum because you're trying to throw it at someone's head or something. It's like, they took the toy away because I was trying to hurt someone. It's like, yeah, that's what happens. It's like, oh, I hated it, I'm the victim here. And it's like, you're a dickhead. But it's crazy. You'll find that you, despite doing whatever you could to keep, say, a relationship going, is suddenly villainized to people who don't know you because they didn't bother seeing the real you. They only got this version of you that this fuckboy fucking fed them because they knew him first and they knew him for longer. Of course, he's fine. You know, we've never seen the dark side of him because all we ever see is the happy drunk guy. And he's like, you have no fucking idea what's going on in the background. But you want to believe it because he's your buddy. He's your bro. Meanwhile, the person who was actually, you know, subject to the fucking abuse has left the scene and is not even bothering to stand up for themselves publicly because it's just like, I can't handle this shit, and gone. I don't know. Am I speaking from real life experience? Who knows? But it's the backstabbing, it's the nastiness, it's the... And then you'll find, like, later on down the track that they realize that this is a repeated pattern that they do to all their boyfriends or girlfriends. And something will come out the woodwork and prove that you weren't the villain that they perceived them to be, you know? It's absurd. But of course by then you're, like, miles ahead and you don't give a fuck. Like, you know what? I don't care, even, just... So, you know, you can hold out hope that you'll be fine. To be honest, the people who are willing to participate or believe the fuckboy bullshit backstabbing is generally not people you should be keeping around anyway, because if they're willing to bandwagon that shit, chances are they'll bandwagon anything. Yeah. Problem with people who can be bored is they can be sold to the highest bidder at any time they fucking feel like. They've got no loyalty. What they do have is, you know, I suppose an addiction to alcohol and drugs that can be, that can come from anywhere, and I'll feign allegiance to anyone as long as you give me that shit. They can be bought, is the thing. Your loyalty is bought in those circumstances. It's not earned, it's not given, it's not... fucking stupid. These are not the people you want to hang around with, is what I'm getting at. So fucking losers. And parasitic, to be honest, if you're going to go that far. They will only hang around you so much as they've got fodder to use. Or, you know, entertainment in the form of, you know, gossiping, backstabbing someone, or you behind your back. You are the entertainment in that case, which is why, you know, later on down the track you hear some outlandish shit about stuff you've done and you're like, wait a minute, that's never something. And you think, you know what, fuck it, whatever. It gets to the point where you're not even bothering to stand up for yourself because you're like, yeah, fucking idiots. I'm not even, man. It's the ridiculousness of this situation. If you'd actually bothered to know me, you'd know I'd never do that. So, you know, if you want to hang out with dumb people who are willing to buy bullshit in order to form an allegiance to a group which is toxic as fuck anyway, go for it. But I would not. As soon as I see anyone who does backstabbing like that, I would not hang around them, because chances are, as soon as that entertainment has, you know, come back to the table after going for a piss for a pint, you'll find that someone else will become the entertainment. If you leave that table to go for a piss or pint, you're the subject of the backstabbing, which I did see a lot of. And I'm like, you know what? I'm next. Only if I allow it and only if I choose to stay and take it. So I left. Fucking stupid. And immature. High school antics of people that will never fucking grow up and yet will use it to undermine their own relationships in life. You'll find that you have no friends at the end of this. It will probably affect things like your job, because people will not want to hire someone who's constantly spreading nastiness. It affects everything. Your relationships will fail because you're not going to get someone who's mentally, emotionally stable by getting one of these, by doing these things. They're not going to be thinking well of you for being a nasty prick. You'll end up alone, broke, with no friends, ultimately. When the whole purpose of things like backstabbing is just another form of manipulation in order to get people to follow you. Eventually, everything comes out in the wash and people find out what a lying piece of shit you are. In short, in a social sense. Anyway, you know, it all comes out in the wash. You've seen it enough times, you can see through it. You know, it's one of those red flags with people. It doesn't have to be relationships, like romantic relationships that you see red flags in. If you see your friends have got red flags, don't for 1 second think that you are immune to anything. If it's not someone else they're slagging off, it'll be you they're slagging off as soon as you're not looking. It tends to be a behavior in the group dynamics to slag people off. You know, just nasty fucking people. My old friend group, when I was in high school, and these people followed me up through uni and everything, in my mid-20s and everything, then we all kind of hit 30 and went our different ways. never slagged each other off. This wasn't a thing that was normalized. We used to sit around talking about what we were getting up to rather than actually, you know, bitching about who's doing what and who's going out with what and stuff like that. And bitching about other people's attributes and then pretending they're our friend when they return to the table. So it was never a thing. I would consider the group that I came from to be real friends. The one I left that was exhibiting those traits, absolutely fucking not. I wouldn't trust them to hold a fucking egg, you know? So you can't trust them to do anything. They'll probably try and sell it or something behind your back and then say, oh, someone stole it. You fucking liars. What a shit. Only ever to, you know, bolster what they can get out of something. It's only ever. And there's always some kind of hidden fucking mind game that they think they're all amazing at. It's like, you fuckers are transparent, predictable, and dumb. These are not mind games. These are the machinations of a tween who's been watching way too much American TV and thinks that they're some kind of mean girl's god. Morons. Don't forget that these things we see in the mass media as depictions of what a badass is or a mean girl is are fiction. They're not real. There's no happy ending for these fuckasses that sit there backstabbing each other. And there's no happy ending. You end up alone. Even in the Regina George chick got hit by a bus, and that was a fictional story. It's like I doubt she actually got hit by a bus in real life if it was real. And those movies tend to be set in high school, dude, which are forced confines. You get out into the real world, you get out of the heavily structured things. It's a different ball game. You try that shit at work, you'll get fired because it's not professional, it's not conducive to the working environment. You'll just get fired. It's nastiness. It's pitting employee against employee, for example, and they don't need that kind of shit because all they want to do is make the money, and if you're in the way, they'll remove you. It's bullying in the workplace as well, if you want to go that far. This mean girls, cliques bullshit where everybody turns on each other because they're slightly different. They bitch about each other behind their back and try and find as much evidence as they can to justify why they're bitching about each other behind their back. It's like, I was on their Facebook and I saw they did this post and oh, it must be directed at me, and even though no names or anything were mentioned, and it's got to be directed at me, of course they're an evil person. It just completely, it's evidence that they're assholes. It's like no names, no circumstances, general comment, throwaway comment. It's me, it's directed at me. I'm the victim here, they are the asshole. It's absurd. No. I don't know what that was. Sorry, my phone's just but it's... You will find the most manipulative people who will claim the victim after being the perpetrator in order to justify their position in a group and to promote allegiances. If they're afraid of losing someone like a boyfriend or a girlfriend because they don't like the idea of someone else being potentially better for them, they will slag off that person, present them as the villain, and then try and ostracize them from the group. Because they are a threat. This isn't just relationships, this is social groups, this is the workplace, this is government, it's a common practice. A lot of assholes use it for some reason, some people celebrate it. Although it does show a snake-like attitude, to be honest, because it doesn't go anywhere and eventually that shit will get turned on you. This is why I don't participate in a lot of fucking things, because I cannot be asked dealing with other people's bullshit. Especially when you can see firsthand that this isn't true. When my ex-boyfriend and his, fuckboy protege posed one of the people in the last group I was with, this nice guy that I thought would be a good friend, we had some stuff in common we could talk about, posed him as a polyamorous gay, what did they say? They said he was polyamorous, they said he was gay, they said he was fucking half the bar staff, and he was just, a bit dumb because he believed in things similar to what I believed in. When they posed him as that, I was like, oh, okay, so I'll stay away from him, because obviously with conflicting ideologies, and although we had things in common that were nice for discussion, it would have been nice to be able to talk to someone that, you know, wasn't obsessed with fucking Bitcoin and craft beers. I was told to basically stay away from him, by the protege, by the fuckboy buddy, hyperactive, opiate addicted idiot that my ex-boyfriend decided to hang around with. And they made it sort of clear that he's not the kind of person you want to know, sort of thing. And I'm sitting there thinking, first of all, I mean, the best thing I did was actually go and triangulate my data, right? I did ask him out eventually when I was single. I sent a text asking him out, and I'm sitting there thinking, do you want to just go hit up for a coffee? Because I want to see what this is about. I like to find out for myself rather than just believe bullshit that I've been told. I believed the bullshit at the time solely because I had a boyfriend at the time. I wasn't aiming for another boyfriend. I wasn't aiming to cheat on that boyfriend, which is incredibly prominent in that group for some reason. None of the fuckers can be faithful to save their lives. Only when I was actually single and had been single for a while did I bother, you know, approaching this person who I assumed was also single, because I thought we got stuff in common. Only then did I find out the shit they had told me was fake. And I started thinking, I'm sitting there now, why would they tell me this person was polyamorous knowing that I'm monogamous? It's like, because you knew I wouldn't bother going near him. Why did you bother telling me that he was fucking half the bar staff? Because that would wipe out the rest of the bar staff as potential friends or, you know, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. Because I do go both ways. It's like, okay, so you slagged off the entire fucking pub and this guy. And, you know, and I'm sitting there thinking, why is this guy such a threat to you two fucking idiots that you would completely shit on him? And it was never done to his face. And they posed him as an idiot for having spiritual beliefs. Now, I do tarot cards and I'm into all kinds of things because I'm a divinist. I look at everything when it comes to belief systems and religion. It's what some people call an omnist. And I was interested in having conversations because he was doing this stuff about something about tantric semen retention. And I'm sitting there going, it's an interesting idea. Is it related? My thought patterns were, is it related to tantric sutra stuff? Because that's what I want to know. Is it part of the yoga stuff? Because he was also doing yoga. And I was sitting there and I was ready to have this fucking conversation about it. I'm going, go on, dude, I want to know. But because he had talked about, and these two idiots were incredibly toxic masculines, because he had shown that vulnerability of wanting to talk about that kind of stuff in a very non-masculine way, it's like, we're just here for the bitches and the booze sort of shit. They shat on him for it. And I'm sitting there going, well, I'm willing to have this conversation because I like this kind of stuff. There was no motive behind it. I thought he was single, but at the same time I had a boyfriend, so I didn't bother aiming for him in that way. By the time I actually found out that he had a girlfriend himself, I was single, but he was taken. So I'm like, oh, we're done here, you know. I'm not the kind to steal a boyfriend. I don't lower myself to that level. I was still wanting to, you know, we could still have a conversation, I guess, about it. But, you know, things unfolded where he unfriended me from Facebook, and I'm like, okay. Clearly you're busy and something's gone on in the background where, you know, someone doesn't want me to know you, or that fuckhead ex-boyfriend's turned around and said, she's crazy, you know, the typical defensive shit where it's like, if I can't have you, no one can shit, which is why he cancelled out the entire fucking pub, as, you know, sleeping with this one guy. I'm going, you are an insecure asshole, you really are. Not that I was likely to go back to the pub because I didn't like the way they interacted with each other. It's a very odd way to treat people as friends, but not actually treat them as friends. From what I had heard and seen and experienced myself. But the backstabbing that came with this guy, and I'm sitting there going, you are a 40-year-old dude. There is no way that your brain is still operating in this high school level shit where you would completely cock block me from even knowing someone because you're too insecure about your own existence, where you won't bother to make the effort to act like a decent male human being and treat women with respect. It's like, I can't even have a friend at this point, post-breakup. I can't even have a friend that might have common interests as me simply because he's male. and a potential threat. And like, you are an intensely insecure asshole. And it's like, that was one of the contributing factors as to why I would not go back to try and even be friends with that guy. Not the guy I was trying to be friends with, but my ex-boyfriend. Because it's petty. Everything he did was fucking petty. Self-preservation, self-benefiting, spreading misinformation in order to preserve his own status in the group, because he's the cool, laid-back older guy who just wants to have a good time and, you know, is totally fine with the free the nipple on the 20-year-old girls movement. And I'm sitting there going, you're just a dirty old man. It's like, you're a dirty old man. As long as he can stare at them. You know, it's that kind of shit that I was dealing with. I'm like, look, I was willing to overlook a lot of your behavioral treatment shit when I was with you, but now that I'm not with you, I swear to fuck if you keep bitching about me. Defamation and that shit, you know, it's weak. It's fucking weak shit. And it's all based on the fact that he couldn't handle anyone else potentially trying to make a connection with me, because he would lose his standing in the group. He would lose his chokehold on this, oh, that's his ex, you can't go out with his ex shit. The bros before hoes shit, even though none of these fuckers were bros, looking at their behaviors and the way they treated each other's girlfriends. But it's a constant slagging off and trying to make themselves look better despite not actually putting in the effort to be better. The backstabbing. And see, that's what I mean by it's not just girls, it's boys as well. And I say boys because men wouldn't fucking do it. Men have got shit to do, the same as women have got shit to do. It's this immature, wank-staining fucking kids that will not get their head out of high school and grow the fuck up, who then drag it into the workplace. Drives you fucking nuts. And I do rant about this shit because I cannot conceive how these fuckers are this age and still fucking doing it. That's what pisses me off. And the fact that even after post-breakup, this fucker was still trying to control me. That's another thing. It's like, not only have I relinquished any social scene I have with you, you are now cock-blocking me from finding anyone else, even as a friend, because you're that fucking insecure about what you're doing with your life and your non-existent fucking bug the shit out of me. Absolutely bug the shit out of me. She's crazy. I'd love to hear what stories he came out with, actually, to make me look like I was the villain here. I'm just like, I know your level of pettiness. I know you came up with some shit. I bet you fucking did. I bet you fucking did. And all of it to present yourself as the victim in this scenario. You know, never mind the cheating, never mind the coercive rape. You know, it's always, oh, she's a bitch and she's crazy and binge drinking, pothead. All the things he was fucking doing. Anyway, it's not backstabbing when you're pointing out what they actually did. She's just horrible. What, for pointing out the reality of the situation where it was like to actually be with you? What an asshole. Trying to warn the others that you were actually like this? See, it seems like I'm backstabbing. I'm not backstabbing. I'm telling the truth. That's the problem. It's like the amount of shit that went down makes me look like the asshole. It looks like I'm trying to emphasize him as an asshole. It's like, no, you actually are an asshole. It's like I'm just stating the obvious. And I can see where they might get that viewpoint. But I'm like, given the amount of shit I've seen and the fake fucking shit he puts on in order to hold position in the circle, the social circle, and try to get into, you know, the other girl's pants and shit like that. I'm like, you are a fucking scum, dude. You just... Anyway, so I'm writing a book. I'm up to typing up chapter 30. There's 80 red flags chapters. So, you know, it's been eye-opening. And it's not until you actually sit down and write down what these people are actually doing that you sit there and go, wait a minute. An asshole. How did I not see this when I was in the context of this environment? How did I not see what you were doing? I mean, at the time you're sitting there brushing under the rug, sitting there going, oh, he's just being a dick. Oh, he's just having a bad day. Oh, of course there's a reason there's a hair clip stuffed down the couch that isn't mine. You know, oh, it must have come from someone, somewhere. Oh, I wouldn't, you know. Why are there extra condoms in the top drawer of your, we don't use condoms, you know? It's like, oh, that's perfectly reasonable. It's like, you know, I've got a book's worth of evidence as to why this guy is a fucking prick. And even so, with backstabbing, I still get presented as the asshole. I'm like, are you fucking serious? So, you know. And that's solely through people wanting to claim allegiance to a group and back him on his, you know, diatribe that he's the hero and the victim. And I'm like, you're an aging misogynist, dude. That's all you are. Your fuckboy ways are outdated, and soon the younger girls are going to realize what you are because, you know, you can't financially back up any of your claims. You can't buy them drinks. It's a whole vast array of shit that's just going to go on that one. So that's the justice in this scenario, is knowing how it unfolds. The best thing I can do, or anyone can do when they're being backstabbed against, is just to back away. I mean, you want to clear your name, obviously, because you're like, I never did that shit, or I'm not that kind of person, and it's like you don't like the idea of people thinking you're an asshole, and no one really does, including the fuckboys. But at the same time, it's like, you know, if I stay and I try and justify what happened, or if I try and explain what happened, or why they think that way, you know, I'm trying to explain myself to a brick wall that's already preconditioned to absorb whatever the fuck he said because they knew him longer. And it's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm out. Fuck it. I've got nothing to gain from staying here. All I would be doing is claiming allegiance to a group that binge drinks and sleeps around, does drugs. It's like, why would I want to belong to this? It's absurd. You've got to really look at the context of the reality you're trying to find yourself in. It's like, am I supposed to be here? It's like, this is not where I parked my car. Euro trip. It's like, no, I'm out. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, so, you know, that was my rant for the day. But backstabbing, I would not recommend. It's always best to tell the truth, even if you need to find a tactful way to do it. There's no point slagging someone off. If you've got an issue with it, say it to their fucking face like a man or a woman, you know? It's if they're a bitch and knife them behind the back. It's absurdly immature. Having said that, I didn't confront the girl that was groping my ex-boyfriend at the time, because that did actually piss me off. I'm sitting there going, I don't know what the fuck you two are doing behind the scenes while I'm at work, but could you not hang off him while I'm trying to be on a date with him? You know, it's like, just, it would be nice to be able to have my own boyfriend for once. And he was convinced that we were in I asked him to be in a monogamous relationship, and he said he'd try to be in a monogamous relationship. I'm going, what the fuck is try? Either you are or you aren't. It's fucking ridiculous. You don't try. It's like, and they laughed, and I'm going, why are you laughing? It's like, what have I walked into here? God, it's people. That's why I don't go out and I don't do stuff, because you get these fuckers everywhere. Get them. It's like you're going out for just like drinks or wanting to meet friends or do some stuff that's not work, and the fuckers just like do the dumb shit. I'm like, fuck this. Like, this is why I stay home and watch movies and eat pizza, because you fuckers are retarded. Just got fed up a bit. Anyway, so that was my voyage into the bar scene, the social group. And it's very much a hookup culture for that age group, which I find depressing, because ultimately all it leads to is emotional damage. It doesn't go anywhere. Everybody gets their feelings hurt, and then you spread that to the next person you're with. Which is why they probably won't have any kind of stable relationships in the future, because they've been so conditioned or preconditioned to believe that people are a throwaway item. You could just use them for sex and get bored and fuck someone else's girlfriends. That will break up friendships. The cheating. They're thinking you've got one over on someone because you fucked someone's girlfriend, or the girlfriend fucked her ex to get over and piss you off. You know, and at the time I was like, there was one girl who was, I swear she was going out with this long-haired chunky guy. I swear she was. And then, you know, I asked her about it. I just said, oh, no, they're being nice to each other, sort of thing. When I got back to the table, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Because they had, one of the girls who was working there had shouted at the girl, where's so-and-so? And she's like, I don't give a fuck. And I said, oh, they must be having an argument or something in a relationship. Because it was kind of like, I don't give a fuck where they are, and doing my own thing sort of thing. Big chunky guy with long black hair. And I'm going, I don't know you, I haven't met you, and I don't understand the context in which we find ourselves, but I'm pretty sure you two fuckers are together. Because who would argue like that and then react that way if you weren't together? And that was just my assumption, I could be wrong. But this other redhead chick is like, where's these? This blonde chick's like, fuck. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know what the fuck this game is. And then later I find out she's going out with the guy that I asked out. I'm going like, I thought you were with that guy. What the fuck is happening? I don't know. See, this is the kind of hookup culture shit that I don't understand. It's like, it's very possible that that guy I asked out was poly, and that was an open relationship, because she was clearly got something going on with this long-haired guy. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know, man. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm glad I don't go out and do the social shit, because it just confuses the shit out of me. There's so much extra shit going on in the background that no one's being honest about, and it's like, you know what? You're fucked in the head. If she is having this third party with this long-haired fat guy, that guy is delusional for thinking she's being faithful to him. But if it's an open relationship, then you're just asking for problems, because she's gonna fuck whoever she wants to, and this guy's like, is he gonna fuck whoever he wants to? It's like, you're creating problems. It's like, what is your deal? I don't understand what's going on. Anyway, so I left that pretty... I don't understand it, so I'm not gonna do it. Didn't make sense. I was so sure for the longest time she was going out with that guy. Which made me think that he was single. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know, man. I could be completely delusional about that. It's probably best to triangulate the data on that one. Just like, ask around. Ask the redhead chick, because she'll know. If you want to. I didn't stick around long enough to figure out what the fuck was going on, because it all seemed like a pile of shit. So, anyway, the moral of the story is, don't stay with people who will backstab you, because you don't know when they're going to turn that on you in the end. Who the fuck was the long-haired guy? I don't even know. I don't know. A lot of poly people in that group. It could have been an open relationship. It could have been something else. Either way, don't take my shit as gospel. Go and find out for yourself, would you? If you were at that group, at that table, it's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm just sitting here looking at stuff going, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right. And then you look at the date they started going out on their Facebook profile, and you go, wait a minute. At that point, she was having an argument with that guy. Like, how could you be going out with this person and then going out with that guy? And it's like, this is why I don't do people. They're confusing as shit. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, because I got shit to do. I've got another podcast to do, which is the cards. I love doing my cards. I hope you guys have a fantastic Thursday. I'm going to keep checking in, obviously, on my dad, who's... I can't do anything about that. That's the problem. Is like, you, as a fixer, you're like, I want to go and fix it for him, but I can't really do anything for him. And it's a weird relationship anyway. So it's like, I don't know what to do. I stayed up all last night just fucking trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with that. It's like bowel cancer and shit. And I'm like, there's enough shit going on. I'm trying not to think about it, so I'm throwing myself into work, which is terrible. Don't do it. Although you could as a distraction for a bit. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check with my mum, see what's going on. Take it easy. I hope you guys are having a pretty chill Thursday. It's nearly the weekend, and then we can, you know, what I'm going to do is we're going to go eat cheese rolls. Because the height of my excitement is to go and eat cheese rolls. Plastic cheese, the best. Take it easy, and I'm going to do another podcast, and then I'll probably do another 2 podcasts tomorrow, hopefully. So have a good one. If you're in a backstabbing group, shuffle off as best you can. Just don't get involved. It's stupid. It's really stupid. It goes nowhere, and people are dicks. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys in the next podcast or tomorrow.